Erik Horne here with Jean-Jacques Taylor, president of JJT Media Group, and Andscape columnist Rhoden. And we are talking about breaking news in the college football world. Big news for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Deion gets a commitment from five-star quarterback Julian Lewis out of Carrollton, Georgia. Number 2 in the 2025 ESPN 300. He reclassified from the 2026 class. So he's a young quarterback that's going to be going into college. He's going to be enrolling early if he does end up signing with Colorado in the next couple of weeks. But we want to talk about the why this is important for Colorado. This is a kid that was committed to USC, committed to Lincoln Riley, who has a history of churning out Heisman-winning NFL quarterbacks. So this kid's serious. And, for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes to land him is big news. JJT, why in particular is this important for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes?
For me, number one, we can stop all this conversation about is he going somewhere next year? You don't get a five-star quarterback, tell his family that he's coming, get him to flip, and then bounce right before he shows up to play in his first game. Now, there may be some coaches who would do that, but I really don't think Deion is like that. I don't think he's that guy. And so, before he committed, the conversation with the parents had to be, all these rumors are swirling around. Shedeur is leaving. What's the deal? Are you coming? Are you staying? Are you going? Is there any way you could go? And I'm sure he answered all those questions to their satisfaction, which is why he's there. So to me, that ends the conversation about where he's going for the next year or so, because he's got his quarterback, he's got his successor to Shedeur, and so now let's go play ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, and I'll get back to that point about whether he's going to stay or not. But
I know you will.
I know, I will. But no, I mean, I think it's important because JJT and Erik, we've been on this whole Deion thing for what was it, 4 years now, 4 or 5 years, 4 years, right? You've written a book, so we've been on this, and which is why I was arguing that this isn't necessarily a recruiting story. This is all part of the magic of Deion's story. And remember, part of that story has always been 3 characters, Travis Hunter and his 2 sons. Those have been the 3, those have been the characters of this story. And our question was, okay, now once all those characters, when you get to the end of the book, and those characters graduate to the NFL, will Deion still have the allure? Because remember, this is basically 3 of his sons. Will he still have the allure? So the significance of this guy turning down USC and going to Colorado is that there's clearly still the allure there. Deion has put something in place. He's put down a compelling foundation. And yeah, I mean, I think whether he'll stay or not, cynical as well. I'm always thinking never say never. If the Dallas Cowboys say that, say we're gonna get Shedeur and we're gonna make you the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Deion might have to go back and tell the fans, the Lord just called me, yeah, you can't run away from the Lord, But I do agree with you that 99%, because I thought the same thing. This probably does mean he'll probably stay there, and who knows? There may be other recruits to follow. I mean, he may have one of the best recruiting classes kind of ever, So
I think when Juju flipped the other day, one of the top linemen, I think it was in Georgia. I think he's committed to Alabama, but he threw one of those emojis up and said, "Let me know what's up." And so I think Juju, because he's a quarterback, and we've seen this with other classes, once the quarterback commits, people who are undecided or who are picking between State U and City College, they go, "Oh, he going there? Okay, I'm finna ride over there with him because I know he can play." And you get that whole AAU basketball vibe where it's, hey, we all gonna go to the same place, and see what we can do. And so I think they will pick up a couple more recruits. And again, Deion is not big on high school recruits unless they're showing up to play. Juju is there in part because he's been a 4-year starter in high school at Georgia's highest classification, and I think he comes in expecting to start or compete for a starting job, and so he didn't come to sit; he came to play.
And by the way. Now, the flip side of him talking to his parents and guarantee that he'll stay, he's not guaranteeing that I'm not going to go out and try to get another quarterback either.
No, that's the name of the game is recruiting and playing the best players.
Yeah, so I want you to come because it's really important. But, there's a big hole there. And we all know how important quarterback is. So you don't know who is going to materialize in these next couple of months who wants to go and play for Colorado because they know there's a huge opportunity for me to start.
But, the other thing is I'm a Buckeye, so I've seen it at its height, and I know what the expenses are. Right now, today, there can't be that many places that are better to be at if you're a winner and you're playing college football. I'm just talking about the Colorado vibe and what they got going on and who's on the sideline and who you get to meet and what the whole experience is like, because Deion is unlike any other coach in college football. And so you're not just going there to play college football. You're going there for the entirety of the experience that is Colorado football right now.
Yeah. And, go ahead.
Well, one of the important things that we talked about in the building of a program, and people have questioned kind of Deion's methodology. Basically going out and going into the portal and flipping rosters every year. But one of the things about building a sustainable program is not only retaining players, but being able to recruit high-end talent and bring it in from the high school level. If that's not what Deion puts his priority in, that's fine. But when you do get a guy like Julian Lewis, you're building depth. You're building, even if he's not the guy who wins the job out of the gate, he convinced the kid to go there, and he's still got the depth to be able to go to him when it's time. If you continue to do that at more and more positions, that's how you build a football roster that can go and compete for something a little bit bigger than the Big 12 championship, which is incredible in itself that Deion was able to do that in a year, already be in position to where he's got this team, in position to go to the Big 12 championship. But if he brings in a Juju Lewis, and then Juju Lewis leads to other guys down the pipeline that are more high-end talent, that's continuing to layer your roster with talented guys to where you can potentially go even farther than that. So
I think you can take it one step. Don't forget, he flipped Jordan Seaton, the left tackle, last year. Yeah. And that's a 5-star left tackle. And that may be the thing that helped Juju come. Okay, I got somebody protecting my blind side, so I'm straight right there. And I think it all fits together. And then you also have the George Hegeman factor. George Hegeman played with Deion with the Cowboys, has done various jobs in and around the NFL, but he spent the last 2 or 3 years as the director of football operations for IMG football program. So that's where some of the best players in the country play if they don't want to go to traditional high school. And so they got a pipeline now to IMG. So you're looking at a lot of recruits that they're bringing in have played or do play for IMG. And that's one more recruiting advantage. And it's one more reason why they're having some success with the high school players.
In high school players, the transfer portal, I think as it evolves, is going to be, they call it quick fix, but it will help us lay this foundation while we're trying to build our program. We'll put these seasoned guys in place. Meanwhile, we're recruiting the Julian Lewis. We're getting these great high school kids, which will be the future of our program, but just to stop the leak. And that's what Colorado had to do, just to stop the immediate leak. We're going to plug in, these juniors and seniors from other programs. So I think it's a great strategy for Deion and coaches in general. Now, I'm sure that this is going to intensify the rivalry with USC. The fact that you're getting like a kid who they really, really wanted. So it's a great victory from that standpoint. And, again, we'll talk about this at some other time. They still have got to keep winning, right? They still have got to keep winning and keep showing that they are a successful program on the rise, and you can be part of it. That's the selling point. You can be part of it. Deion likes to say, we're rolling now. Get on board.
Yeah. And JJT, I had a question for you. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but just thinking about building a program and getting a program to where it's a national title contender or a conference champion contender year after year. it's okay to say we don't have to be shy about it. It takes NIL money.
Right.
It's gonna take money to sustain your roster and be able to get guys that are 5 stars to your team, because a lot of teams are going to be going after them with NIL money. So it leads me to the question of, does this say something about the support that Deion has as far as the NIL? Because I don't want to make assumptions about Juju Lewis and his family. I've heard good things about him living in Atlanta. I've heard that he's got a good family, and he's got he seems like he's a good kid that's gonna be good wherever he goes.
Right.
But I do know about Georgia is, this kid couldn't earn money off of his name, image, and likeness because Georgia did not have those rules in place. That basically it was something where that wasn't allowed for high school students in Georgia. I think it was just recently passed, maybe this past year, but I think, the first couple of years that he started, that wasn't allowed, and he couldn't make money off of his name, image, and likeness. So is Colorado ponying up the money to get more of caliber players like a Juju Lewis?
Here's the deal. You're not getting those guys without paying them, I would say, whatever the going rate is. I was trying to look up something while we were talking. So whatever the going rate for 5-star quarterbacks, I'm sure he got in that ballpark. But I think the thing that Deion can sell, and I find this very interesting, the thing he can sell is, it's one thing for me to get all these endorsement deals or help Shedeur get all these endorsement deals. He's my son. Travis ends up probably with just as many endorsement deals as Shedeur. He's not my son, but what did Travis do? He performed on the field. And the thing about Deion is he has his whole team set up so that if you perform on the field and you got a name, we're not going to have any problem getting you NIL money. We got a whole machine that's designed to get people NIL money. Look what it's done for these guys already right here. The interesting thing, though, is when Juju made his announcement on Pat's show, I forgot the man had an old man moment, McAfee's show, he was wearing an Athlete's First hoodie or sweatshirt or whatever. Well, that's David Mulligetta. He's one of the top agents in the game. So, he may already be aligned with him, and they may already have things in the works coming down the pipe, because quarterbacks are the most marketable people in the world in the sports game, and it really doesn't matter if you're at the college level if you get out there and perform.
Yeah, and that will be, obviously that'll be the challenge for him, and that's the conversation next fall. He got to perform. I mean, it's one thing to get you there, and that's one victory. But then, when you get, you got to play, and hopefully he'll have a good experience. So we're not on here a year from now talking about how he's transferring. Yeah, he's going to USC. I should have gone to Utah, So you're right. There are levels of this story. The first thing is getting him. It's a big signing. It's a major victory. Now he got to perform, and hopefully, and I guess that's the challenge of being a coach in this generation, where kids could leave at the drop of a hat. There's nothing to stop it. They don't have to sit out if you're not giving enough money, if you don't think that they're playing you the right way. There's so many other minefields. So that's another story for another day. We've seen coaches.
But what happens is you got to take all that into consideration when you recruit people. You have to understand who they really are. And if you've been to 4 high schools, when I recruit you, I got to know that the first time somebody raised their voice to you, you probably leaving, or the first time you don't get your way. Now, if you come from another background, maybe if you come from your parents' military, maybe I know I can expect from you. So I think you just got to read kids better and understand what everybody's situation is. And then, when you show up, a certain number of recruits ain't going to stay. You just know that. I got Eric, I got Bill. They're both 5 stars. Whoever played best going to start, and the other one probably going to leave. You just have to understand that because the rules have changed.
You got to get what did Deion say? You got him in hot water. Well, you got to get the defensive players because they come from single family. We won't go down that road. I'm sure he won't either.
And like we were talking about, there's no telling what's going to happen with Julian Lewis. Things change really quickly. The kid that was the #1 recruit that went to USC a couple years ago, Malachi Nelson, he ends up transferring out to Boise State. So it's you don't know what's going to happen with these kids. But for Deion to be able to secure the most important position in arguably all of sports and one of the top guys in the amateur ranks at that position, it resonates, you know? It resonates with his program, probably resonates with other kids across the country that are looking at the program. And, you know, Julian Lewis stands to make a lot of money and be successful, regardless of whether he gets on the field or not, because Deion's shown that he could get spotlight on kids. So it's going to be interesting to see if this has any other effects going forward.
Yeah, but I agree with you, JJT. You know, although I said, but I do agree that this is a big marker, a big indication that Deion will stay at Colorado.
At least for another year.
At least for another year, right? At least for another year. You know, that's fine. You know, but this is a big day. Well, you know, my final thought is this is a big day in Colorado recruiting history that they got this top kid. I think you could put your flag in the ground and call this a victory.
Yeah, you know, they got enough. Every state got its share of rich folks. And so they'll have enough rich people now that it's a popular thing to do. And you know, Deion is really brilliant, obviously, at marketing, but he's also brilliant at making money, which means you understand how to raise money. Because he can do a lot of things to create ways to make money. You know, he did them at Jackson State. He had a party for the city, you know, and he took those funds, I believe, and invested them back into the program. And so he can do things because everybody wants to touch him, and you can't, to create, you know, vessels to raise money and make awareness. You know, Deion, I mean, imagine if he felt like doing this. Hey, there's a dinner, there's an evening with Deion. $50,000 a plate. I come and entertain y'all for 2 hours. You think you have a problem doing that? No.
Yeah, and JJT, you pay for me and Bill's plate. We'll go, man. Come
on. That's right.
I can't believe y'all get a struggling entrepreneur like myself out here want me to pay for y'all.
Yeah, we're here with JJT.
All right, man. All right, fellas. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Check us out on Andscape.com. We'll be back after Saturday's game against Kansas. Big one for the Buffaloes. Some actual on-field results that we'll get to talk about. But obviously, this is a big day for Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes, and we'll be back next week.